China hits back against Western sanctions. In 2019, as China's trade war with America was heating up, the People's Daily predicted that China's monopoly on rare earth minerals crucial to the production of most modern hardware would become a tool to counter American pressure. Don't say we didn't warn you, the Communist Party mouthpiece thundered. For years, the bluster was just that. Between 2009 and 2020, the number of Chinese export controls on the books ballooned ninefold, according to the OECD, a club of mostly rich countries. Yet these restrictions were haphazard, informal, and aimed at narrow targets, random warning shots rather than a strategic offensive. As America ratchets up its sanctions against China, which among other things makes it impossible for Western chip companies to sell Chinese customers cutting-edge semiconductors and the machines to make them, new volumes from Beijing are coming thick and fast. Earlier this month, after China announced its latest export controls, this time on a pair of metal used in chips and other advanced tech, the former Commerce Ministry official declared that these measures were just the beginning of China's retaliation. On July 20th, Xi Feng, China's new ambassador to America, said that his country cannot remain silent in the escalating war over technology. A response he hinted was just coming. Now, this time it looks much more deliberate. To counter America's effort to contain China's technological ambitions, Xi Jinping, China's paramount leader, has called on regulators to fight back against Western cohesion in what he has called an international legal struggle. The result is a flurry of lawmaking that is creating a framework for more robust Chinese reaction to America's commercial warfare. Now, the list of recent laws is long. An unreliable entities list created in 2020 punishes any company undermining China's interests. An export control law from the same year created a legal basis for an export licensing regime. In 2021, an anti-sanctions law enabled retaliation against organizations and individuals who carried out the sanctions of other countries. The sweeping foreign relations law, enacted this year and prompted by Western sanctions against Russia over its presence in Ukraine, permits countermeasures against a wide range of economic and national security threats facing the country. It came into effect on July 1st. The same day, an anti-espionage statute came into force, extending the reach of Chinese security agencies. All the while, China has tightened various data and cybersecurity rules. The new rules are already being used as opposed to merely brandished. In February, Lockheed Martin and a unit of Raytheon, two American arms makers with non-weapons business in China, were placed on the unreliable entities list after shipping weapons to Taiwan, which China regards as part of its territory. The companies are blocked from making new investments in China and from trade activity, among other restrictions. In April, Micron, an American chip maker, was hit with an investigation by China's cyberspace regulator based on a new cybersecurity law. After Micron failed a security review, regulators banned its chips from critical infrastructures. The law's vague wording makes it difficult for Western companies to assess the potential impact on their businesses in China. The mother of all sanction laws, as Henry Gao of Singapore Management University describes, the foreign relations law vows to hold accountable anyone acting in a manner deemed detrimental to China's international or national interests in the course of engaging in international exchanges. Several foreign law firms in China have been asked by their Western clients to evaluate the risk of being hit by the investigations. One lawyer looking into potential Chinese cyber probes noted that American tech companies producing commodified hardware components such as Micron's memory chip should be on guard for what he calls sudden investigations. China's new laws allow the government to restrict a broad range of minerals and components, meanwhile are injecting similar uncertainty into the business of their foreign buyers. One affected group, notes David Oxley of Capital Economics, a research firm, is Western manufacturers of green energy technologies. Battery makers in particular are highly dependent on China across the supply chain. Last year, the commerce industry proposed a ban on export of ingot casting technology used in making solar panel wafers. If imposed, such a prohibition could hold back the development of indigenous solar power technologies in the West, which would hurt Western manufacturers while increasing foreign demand for finished Chinese solar panels. The restrictions on the two chips, metal, gallium, and germanium, could pose a strategic headache to America. The rules, which comes into force on August 1st, requires exporters to apply for a license to sell the metal to foreign customers. China produces 98% of the world's raw gallium, a key ingredient in advanced military technology. This includes America's next-generation missile, defense, and radar system. A shock to the supply of gallium could cause long-term problems for the American defense industry, reckons CSIS, a think tank in Washington. Moreover, a gallium-based compound, gallium nitride, may underpin a new generation of high-performance semiconductors. Keeping it out of foreign hands would stymie Western effort to develop the technology while furthering Mr. Xi's policy goal for China to control it. China needs to tread carefully. The country re-imports many of the finished products that are made abroad using rare earth, notes Peter Arco of the Global Mining Association of China, a lobby group. So prohibition could come back to bite Chinese firms. Outright export bans would also prompt the West to build its own relevant production capacity and seek a substitute, observed Erwin Manthe of ING, a Dutch bank. Now, this would, in the long term, weaken China's hands, and labeling as unreliable entities big Western firms with large Chinese operations could jeopardize thousands of Chinese jobs. That may explain why, rather than blacklisting all of Raytheon, whose aviation subsidiary Pratt & Whitney employs 2,000 people in China, the Commerce Ministry limited its ban to the American company's defense unit. So far, the relatively pragmatic Ministry of Commerce and Foreign Affairs have led the implementation of the various laws. One fear among Western businesses is that more hardline agencies supplant them. If the tech war escalates further, China's National Security Commission, chaired by Mr. Xi himself, may take the lead, fears Mr. Gao. If that happens, concerns about potential blowback for Chinese commerce are likely to carry less weight. The consequences are scary to contemplate, and not just for Chinese and American CEOs.